Imagine this. You wake up in a hospital bed. The sharp smell of antiseptic fills the air. The anesthesia is wearing off, and you feel a dull, heavy pain in your stomach. The doctor smiles gently and says, "We removed your appendix. You are safe now." But that was a lie. They didn't take your appendix, they took your future. They removed your ability to have children without your permission. And without you even knowing, you will never hold your own baby. You might think this is a horror movie or a story from a dictatorship. But this happened in Japan, and it didn't end in the distant past. This law was active until 1996, the year the Nintendo 64 was released, until that recent. The government could legally steal your body. This is the true story of the eugenic protection law, a law that told thousands of Japanese citizens, your DNA is not worth saving, give up on having children. By the end of this video, you will understand how fragile our human rights really are. This is the dark history of Japan that was hidden for decades. So what was this law? Enacted in 1948, right after World War II. Its goal was stated clearly, to prevent the birth of inferior descendants. Inferior. The government officially labeled people with disabilities or mental illnesses as inferior and decided they should not reproduce. To enforce this, they performed eugenic surgeries, forced sterilization. The terrifying part is that it was often done without consent. If you had a disability, the government could force you onto an operating table and cut you open. The number of victims acknowledged today is about 25,000 of those. About 16,500 people were operated on against their will. 16,500 people. That is a stadium full of lives ruined by the state. Why did this happen? In 1948, Japan was in ruins. There was a massive food shortage, but the population was exploding. The government panicked. They thought, we need to reduce the population, but we only want superior people to rebuild Japan. People who need care are a burden. So let's eliminate the bad genes. This idea was heavily influenced by Nazi Germany. Japan adopted this dark philosophy, and society accepted it as justice, teachers, doctors. Even parents were brainwashed into believing this is for the good of the country, and the victims were silenced. Let me tell you the story of Ms. To help you understand the pain she lived in the countryside. She had a mild intellectual disability, but she was kind and hardworking when she was 16. Her family took her to a hospital. She wasn't sick, but the doctor said, "We need to do a small surgery for your stomach." She was scared, but she trusted them. When she woke up, she had a scar, but no one told her the truth. Years later, she fell in love, and when marriage was discussed, she finally learned the secret: she had been sterilized. She could never have a baby. She had to tell her fiancé, "I cannot give you a family." In those days, a woman who couldn't bear children was treated like she was broken. There was a derogatory word used back then, umazume. It literally means stone woman, a woman who is barren like a stone. Useless. When her fiancé's parents found out, they were furious. They said, "We don't need a bride who can't produce an heir. The bloodline must continue." Her engagement was called off, and Ms. A was left alone. She cried every night, looking at the scar on her belly. She thought, "Why me? What did I do wrong?" But she couldn't fight back, because it was the law. The government said it was legal, so she lived in shame and silence. Ms. A is not alone. There are records of children as young as 9 years old being sterilized. Before they even understood what a baby was, their futures were stolen. Some were even sterilized using radiation, like a cruel human experiment. For decades, this truth was buried. Victims grew old, hiding their scars, living in loneliness, while their friends played with grandchildren. They suffered in silence. But in 2018, the silence finally broke. A woman in her 60s sued the government. She said, "I want my life back. I want my dignity back." This sparked a movement across Japan. Elderly victims in wheelchairs stood up to fight. The battle was hard. The government argued it was legal back then, and they used a legal weapon called the exclusion period. They said, "It has been more than 20 years since your surgery, so your right to sue has expired. Time is up." Can you believe that? The government deceived these people, hid the truth from them. And while the victims were suffering in silence, the clock was ticking, and now the government says, "Sorry, you were too slow." It was a slap in the face to every victim. But in July 2024, history changed. The Supreme Court of Japan ruled that the eugenic protection law was unconstitutional. They declared that applying the 20-year time limit was grossly unjust. The government cannot hide behind the clock when they were the ones who caused the damage. The government was ordered to pay. The Prime Minister apologized. Admitting it was the greatest human rights violation in post-war history. But does money fix this? No, money cannot buy back a uterus. It cannot bring back the children who were never born. It cannot erase 50 years of loneliness, Miss. A's life can never be returned. And this is not just about the past. The law is gone. But the mindset of eugenics remains. Think about modern society. When a prenatal diagnosis shows a disability, is there a pressure to give up? Look at the internet comments. Unproductive people have no value. They are wasting taxes. Remember the tragedy in 2016, the Sagamihara Care Home massacre. A man murdered 19 disabled people claiming they should disappear. His logic was terrifyingly similar to the logic of the eugenic protection law. If we are not careful, history will repeat itself. A society that ranks the value of human life is a dangerous society because anyone can become disabled. Anyone can become weak. The blade of eugenics is pointed at all of us. The victims are still fighting to ensure this never happens again. How do you feel knowing this? Angry? Sad? Remember that feeling. And remember this history. We must never let the government or society decide who is worthy of life. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please share it. Don't let the past be forgotten. Take care.